I just think this. I think that it's just fate, whether you want to give credit to the universe or to God, but somebody's watching and saying, I'm going to make you wait. It's going to be the last call. That's the one that's going to work for you. It's going to be the last door you knock on. It's not going to be the first. All right. If you have your book, Shift, we're going to be reading today from page 754 to 71. And I'm going to start at the top of page 54. We're recording and it's live. If you missed anything, you could always go back and watch again. So, second paragraph, Gary says, if your past sales success came either in part or in total from riding the wave of an increasing market, the odds are the easy business you enjoyed will have virtually disappeared. Now, stop. Easy doesn't mean that it's easy to work with buyers and sellers right now, because it's not. It hasn't been for a long time. But what Gary's referring to, it's brutally hard. What Gary's referring to as easy is a market of abundance where there's lots of real estate transactions happening. And your phone is ringing from people who are telling you, I want to move. They're telling you, I want to buy. And you're answering the phone and getting leads and turning those leads into sales, which is 100% okay. However, when things slow down and those calls aren't coming in anymore, what are you going to do? And he goes on to say, to get back on track, there are 3 straightforward action steps you must take to get your sales business moving in a positive direction. Step number 1, stop doing what doesn't work. Step 2, figure out what does work. And step 3, ramp it up. And I'm going to tell you the one that you have the most control over is ramp it up. If you can't figure out what isn't working, or you can't quite figure out what is working, and you're like, what do? Ramp it up. Talk to more people. Success is simple. You want to succeed, just talk to more people. I hate to tell you it's that simple, but that's what it is. And not just ramp it up in your lead generation, but ramp it up in your follow-up as well. All right, middle of the page, step 1. We can evade reality, but we cannot evade the consequences of evading reality. The consequences of evading the reality of your lead generation situation could be dire. The way to avoid this is to acknowledge your situation and do something about it. The first step is to stop doing what doesn't work. Bottom of the page, your goals haven't changed. When you started the year, when you started your real estate career, you set goals. And if the market slows down, you can either adjust your goals or adjust the activities. Your choice. Now, what Gary is saying is your goals don't change. So you have to change. And one of the things you have to change is stop doing what doesn't work. You know what your annual income goal is, and you know the number of sales you must close to hit it. Economic model. The economic model will simply tell you, based on the amount of money you want to earn, how many appointments you need to go on. The end result of the economic model is appointments. What has changed is the number of appointments you are going on and the number of leads it takes to get those appointments. So if we went back to 2019, for those of you who were in production, Michael Topo, think back with me to 2019. How many A buyers? An A buyer is somebody who is ready, willing, and able to buy a home, and they're going to buy a home in the next 30 days. Ready, willing, and able. And they're going to buy a home in the next 30 days. How many A buyers would you need, and how many offers would you need to write to close 12 buyer sales? 2019, not today.
For 12 transactions, the average agent can handle 5 buyers at a time.
No. You're gonna.
I'm just methodically thinking through, right? You're talking about 12 closed sales.
Yep.
So you probably need 15 or 16 buyers to get 12 transactions.
Okay. And how many offers would you have the right to close 15?
For each client, maybe 2 to 4 offers versus today's market where you may need to write 10 to 15.
Okay. And how many A buyers would you need today in order to close 12?
60.
Yeah, and he's exaggerating, but it's a big number, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for those of you in Zoom that didn't hear him, he said 60. The market's different. This is exactly what Gary is saying. He said, what has changed is the number of appointments you are going on and the number of leads it takes to get those appointments. Now, going to page 57, step 2, figure out what works. Step 1 was figure out what doesn't work and stop doing it. Step 2 is figure out what works. Move from having success to creating success. Page 57, bottom of the middle of the page, right underneath step 2. Move from having success to creating success. They're not the same thing. Having sales happen is one thing, but now we need to make sales happen, and that is something entirely different. Bottom of the page. Anyone who doesn't move to mastering lead generation, remember you're in college, you enrolled in Survive to Thrive University, and you are getting a master's degree in lead generation. Desiree, how are we doing? Are you happy?
Yes.
Good. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
First day, she's like freaking out. She's like, oh my God, he's going to make me talk. I won't. Not yet anyways. All right. Move from having success to creating success. Having sales happen is one thing, but now we need to make sales happen, and that is something entirely different. Anyone who doesn't move to mastering lead generation usually gets shifted right out of real estate. Wow. How do you feel about that?
Feel good about it.
I feel great. Advantage me, because I have a master's degree in lead generation. Bring it on. I'm ready to go get my unfair share. We succeed in good markets because of what we do well. We also succeed in spite of what we do wrong. And when the market shifts, it will reveal the frauds. Ouch. That's not my quote, it's Gary Keller, so get mad at him. All right, page 58, the message matters. When we say your message must match your market, we're talking about two markets, the target market of buyers and sellers you communicate to, and the market conditions of the market areas in which you operate. Page 59, middle of the page. In a constricting market, this truth becomes critical since the message people respond to narrows greatly.
Say it again, John.
In a constricting market, this truth, the message has to match the market, becomes critical since the message people respond to narrows greatly. When motivation is low, there are fewer messages that work. So you're working with people who want to sell their home, but they're afraid to sell their home because they'd have to buy a house. Michael, I'd sell my house, but where would I go? Motivation's low. If I knew that I could sell my home and buy my dream home, my motivation is high. Matter of fact, I'm really excited about that because I have a lot of equity in my home, and this will be a great opportunity to take advantage of that. but my motivation is low because there's no inventory. So what's the message? What's the message that would apply to that person? You see, in a market where there's plenty of inventory and in a market where values have gone up significantly over the last 5 years, would you like to sell your home for top dollar and move up to a bigger, nicer home? The answer is yes, let's do it. Any message works in that market. Now you're in a market where there's low inventory and that seller wants to sell, but they're afraid that they're not going to be able to find a home to move into. Motivation is low. You're going to need a different message for that seller. Find the answer to that question and advantage you. The message you put out to attract prospective buyers and sellers is everything. Why would they want to contact you in this market? Boy, that's a great question. Hervé, I can see your wheels turning. You're thinking, aren't you? Good. What would they get if they did? Why should I call you? And what would I get if I did? Answer that question and advantage you. When the market shifts, they immediately know that all their lead generation messages must now shift to match the market. Messaging is built on the proven idea that people will contact you if there is some direct benefit to them. All right. Give me a second while I find the next page. We're just going to skip all the way to page 72. Step 3. Ramp it up. An inconsistent approach can get you leads. Lead generation every so often works. 20 conversations today, 10 tomorrow, 5 the next day, 20 the next day, 5 the next day, 4 the next day, 20 the next day. Works. It does. However, an inconsistent approach can get you leads, but it won't give you anywhere near the number of leads you'll need when the market shifts. Let's be clear. The market has shifted. There are fewer sellers listing their homes today than there were 6 months ago. Listings are hard to find. For real estate agents, the market has absolutely shifted. This is a very difficult market to be a realtor in. You're going to need a lot of leads, and that means you're going to have to do a lot of lead generation. So rather than 20 conversations today, 10 tomorrow, 5 the next day, 4 the next day, 7 the next day, 20 the next day, 7 the next day, 15 the next day, how about 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, 30, or 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40, or I'm not going to stop until I schedule 2 appointments. It's a standard that I hold myself accountable to. And I won't settle for anything less. That person's going to be massively successful. Is that going to be hard? Brutally. It will be. You must do it every day. You must do it several hours every day. Tony DeCello, which was one of my first coaches, Diana Kokoska's husband, said, John, you want to be successful? Lead generate 8 hours a day. That was his answer. Lead generate 8 hours a day. And I said, Tony, when am I going to go on appointments? Figure it out. Was his answer. Lead generate 8 hours a day. Now, is that a stretch? Yeah. Do I expect you to lead generate 8 hours a day? No, but I'm not Tony DeCello. Maybe I should. You must do it every workday for the rest of your career. To do this, you must subscribe to one simple belief. Dealing with business never takes precedence over finding business. which means when you follow this and you start getting listings and you start writing offers and you have contracts that you're negotiating and life is good, don't take your foot off the gas. You are urgently looking for that next lead, like your life depended on it from this point forward. Because until you have achieved your lead generation goals for the day, everything else and everyone else is a distraction. All right, talk to me. Raise your digital hand if you're on Zoom. There's 20 of you and another 20 in the room. So Jennifer.
What you just said makes home with me. Dealing with business never takes precedence over finding business. It is real easy to just get wrapped up into what you have currently that you're working on. And then that deal closes or those deals close and you're like, what do I have now?
Yeah.
And it's that fear of, oh my gosh, how am I gonna meet the next paycheck?
Yeah. Yeah, right. And not the first time you've heard this, right?
No,
Yeah. And I'm not the first person who's told you this, right?
no.
Yeah.
Your wife tells me daily.
Yeah. Who?
Your wife tells me this daily.
So Monica is your transaction coordinator, right? And she tells you this daily, right? Yeah. And where do you think she heard it from?
Yeah.
And I'm not taking the credit because it didn't come from me, guys. It came from Gary Keller. Right? I'm just standing on the shoulders of giants. Kim, talk to us.
Hi, good morning. So this is more of a question.
Mhm.
You know, the figure it out part, lead generate 8 hours a day, figure out when you do the rest.
Right?
Is what is the answer to that? I'm struggling with that right now. I'm finding I have signed buyers. I'm getting